Marcus?
Well, I was just going to say, I think that as much as that's correct, I think there are people who fall back on that no ethical consumption and the capitalism thing to basically do nothing.
Oh yeah, it's the other side
within
of
the
the
system.
coin.
Yeah.
Because I think that what you were saying about like the smartphone and stuff, like a boycott wouldn't work there because you can't buy an ethical version of a smartphone, and the stuff it offers would be very difficult to live a sort of functional life without. Like you probably wouldn't be able to get a job without some form of phone where they could contact you. It would impact your life quite severely. But something like the Avengers or something, the video game, you could say, I'm not going to buy this. I'll buy an indie game, and then you could buy nothing but indie games, organize other people to do so, and then you may have an impact on the industry where either the Avengers Square Enix team had to change what they were doing, or they would be supplanted by that. I think there are things people can do, and I think that people definitely fall back on just doing nothing without, or people just think, well, I can't change the system fully, so. Because this is like that accelerationist argument, which I'm sure you've both heard, but it's like, well, if we make things worse and worse, because we can't do incrementalism, which is small changes to get to a wider goal and stuff, I think that's ineffective. They just do nothing to get things worse, so people wake up kind of stuff. So it's kind of like a version of that, where people just think, because there is nothing we can do, I'll just do nothing essentially. Well, I think that the right thing to do is to take it step by step, and then, case by case, and then if it makes sense to do it, then do it, and if it doesn't, then don't. Like the smartphone thing, you can't have an ethical version of that or live without it, so buy one. And but Avengers, you can live without it. Might send a message, don't buy it, kind of thing.
I'm really surprised we haven't yet gotten like fair trade rare earth minerals or something like that. Like, you know how you have like fair trade coffee and like we have like smartphones made with fair trade rare earth minerals.
Yeah, but I think there's a space for like an eco smartphone, right? Like,
well, yeah, I'm surprised that hasn't been like that hasn't been like sort of folded into someone's like marketing or stuff. I suppose I assume that these companies probably have done like some market research and realized that the market isn't really big enough to warrant it. Similar, not unlike the coffee industry and stuff like that, where there's huge swaths of people drinking coffee and actually wanting to make sort of ethical choices. Again, I just I don't know. Is there any coffee now that's not fair trade? Like, I don't know.
I'd be very surprised if there wasn't like at least some form of quality control, even if it's not like fair trade on like where the coffees come from, right?
Like, I've never actually even looked into like this whole fair trade thing. Like this, it could be like a huge scam.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because fair trade isn't as fair as you think it is. So there's this brand of chocolate in the UK. I went for the gold there, and slam dunk. No, but there's this type of chocolate in the UK that's called Tony's Chocolonely, and it is ethically sourced chocolate, and is the only chocolate which is guaranteed to not have slavery involvement at any point in the supply chain. Even something like fair trade, which says like we'll give a fair cut to the farmers, doesn't take into account how those like beans are harvested. They can't guarantee that slavery is not involved. Now this Tony's Chocolonely is pretty much the only chocolate which is guaranteed to be completely slavery free, right? So even something like fair trade, like somewhere along the line in the supply chain of producing that chocolate, there probably has been some sort of slavery involved. And yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. You know, people don't question it really. You know, no one wants to think about the nice bar of dairy milk or whatever. You know, like had slavery involved.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like again. I've sort of, I don't necessarily look into these things too much because I realize that there's
It's a rabbit hole.
well, firstly it's a rabbit hole and like eventually you're gonna hit the point where it's like, oh yeah, like this is just bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
it's better to assume that it's all just bullshit from the beginning and like.
You won't be set up for a fall that way for sure.
Exactly. You just realize that it's all shit and like it's much easier just to assume that everyone's like out to fuck everyone else. Like,
Thanks, Avengers. This is what you brought us to.
yeah.